Good morning. Welcome to 30 Days of Transformation. Today's day 24. And we have been talking about identity. Yesterday I was talking about identity and how identity, how identity is an essential piece, sort of figuring out what your identity is, forming good boundaries, and using that sense of identity to help bolster your resilience, your mental health, your sense of purpose and meaning in the world. And basically what the yoga tradition teaches us is that the 8 limbs of yoga are a journey from the most external part of ourselves to the most internal parts of ourselves. And so, that's what we've been doing. I realized it as I was looking over what we've been doing the past 24 days. And a lot of it has been moving from the external parts to deeper and deeper inside ourselves. So I thought today a topic that would be so appropriate is this idea of what the yogis call Shraddha, or faith. I want to make sure I put the Sanskrit word for Shraddha in, because sometimes when people hear words like faith, it immediately reminds us of something, perhaps that it feels like somebody else's sense of religion or somebody else's sense of spirituality, and maybe doesn't connect so much with ours. So some of those words can be triggering, but the word Shraddha, the Sanskrit word Shraddha, really is about, and it's in the Yoga Sutras, and it's about, do I wake up every morning with a sense of possibility? And that's really the way to think about it. Am I waking up every day with a sense of what's possible, and not with a sense of I'm carrying this heavy burden of the world on my shoulders, but there's a certain possibility and a certain lightness. So my 3 bullet points for today are: do you have that faith in yourself to wake up every morning and keep moving through? And if you don't have that faith in yourself, what helps you to reclaim it? And that might be the second one, is that faith in some kind of a supportive presence in your life, a higher power, or the sense that there's some benevolence in the universe that is providing an impetus that's helping to move you forward. So supportive presence in your life. And then the last bullet point is faith in the journey. That everything that has led me up to this point, to be here and now in this minute, has happened for a reason. And here I am. And now what are the possibilities? So I think it's kind of a simple message in some ways. We have to remove the veneer of the past that might, again, equate that kind of Shraddha or faith with something that doesn't feel true or authentic or honest to us. But faith and hope are really, they're functions of the heart chakra. And in those functions, and so we have identity in the heart chakra, and then we have faith and hope also in the heart chakra. And so how am I creating a sense of myself, and then connecting with that sense of myself in a way that keeps supporting that impetus or that forward movement in my life? Because really, life is a journey. We're all going on this journey together. Some of us get off the train at different stops, but basically that's the movement. There's always this movement in the universe. That's the law. Lao Tzu says, the only thing that's certain is change. We're moving forward. There's this moving forward. And sometimes we don't know if things are really helping us, or if we feel like, sometimes like, I've had this problem and it's so horrible. And sometimes something emerges from that. So there's a famous Zen story about this farmer. You might have heard it. And the farmer is out in the wilderness one day with his son, and they find this wild horse, and they're able to capture the wild horse. So they bring the horse home, and the neighbors all say, "Oh, you found a horse. Such good luck." And the Zen farmer says, "Maybe, And then the next day, his son is trying to tame the horse, and he gets on the horse, and he's doing all this stuff with the horse, and the horse bucks him off, and he breaks his arm. And the neighbors all come by, and they say, "Oh, he broke his arm. So unlucky." And the farmer's like, "Maybe." And then the next day, the military comes along, and there's this whole inflow of soldiers, and they're looking for all the young men in the town to take them to become part of the army, because there's a big war going on. So they come by and they take all the men from the town, and then they come to the farmer's son, and they're like, oh, look, he's injured, he can't be a soldier. And and then the neighbors all come by and they're like, so lucky. And the farmer's like, maybe, because you just all of those incidents, you have no idea why those incidents happen, and then what possibilities open up because of those incidents. But if we shut down the possibilities, which is the closing down of hope and the closing down of faith, that's when we really bump up. We just start bumping up again and again against the wall of depression and the wall of disappointment and despair that we've put up ourselves in many ways, because we say that life should only be X, Y, and Z, and if it's not that way, then then I'm quitting. So, which also reminds me of another story. I hope you don't mind, I'm telling you lots of stories today, but the other story is a story about a yogi who's going to see Narayana, which is a name for God. So, and his name is Narada. Excuse me. So he's walking on this road, and on the road he's going to see Narayana, and there's a great yogi sitting by the side of the road, and the yogi stops his meditation and says, I heard you're going to see Narayana. I want you to ask him for me how much longer it will be till I achieve enlightenment. And Narada's like, okay, sure. And he keeps going, and then he comes to another yogi on the other side of the road, and that yogi is doing chanting and all these ritual, and he says to him, hey, I heard you're going to see Narayana. Ask him how many lifetimes it will be till I achieve liberation. And he says, okay, I'll ask him. And then he goes along, and he comes to a school, and there's a woman there, and she's sweeping and she's singing and kind of chanting and taking care of kids and making food. And she said, I heard you're going to see Narayana. Can you ask him how long it will be till I achieve liberation? And he's like, sure. So he goes to see Narayana, and on the way back, somehow he takes a different route. And on the different route, he comes by that first yogi again, and that yogi's meditating, and the yogi stops his meditation and says, what did he tell you? And then Narada says, oh, he told me that it's going to take you another 50 years to achieve meditation. And the yogi gets up and he says, what? How dare he? I've been working all these years. I thought I was going to achieve it at least within a week or two. And then Narada's like, wow, sorry, and he goes on. And that yogi puffs off into the wilderness, and he quits. And then he goes on to the next one, and the next one is like, what did Narayana tell you? And Narada says, well, he told me that for you, it might take like another 2 lifetimes before you achieve liberation. And the yogi's like, what? I thought I was going to get it in this lifetime. That is ridiculous. So he gets up and he storms off, and he quits. And then he comes to the last woman who had asked him, and she's sweeping and taking care of children and cooking and doing all this stuff. And he says to her, Narayana told me that it will take, you see that neem tree up there? And neem trees are big, and they have these teeny tiny little leaves. And she said, yes. And he said, as many leaves are on that neem tree, that's how many more lifetimes it will take for you to achieve liberation. And she says, oh, really? That's wonderful. The point of the story, of course, is that anything that happens to us, we can shift. We have that capacity. It depends on what are we doing with ourselves. We're just having that constantly internal focus where we're just freaking out about our own stuff, and we're constantly thinking about the challenges we have in our life. And that's a pattern we get into. And sometimes it's appropriate, believe it or not. But many times it really just spirals us deeper and deeper into despair. Whereas if we get out there, we're giving, we're being with other people, we're using whatever energy we have to connect and to help and support, that stuff comes back. That stuff comes back hundreds of times, thousands of times more. So it's a matter of, yes, faith in the process, and it's also a matter of what is our process? Are we examining it? And in that process of examination, are we shifting? Are we making Are we taking advice from other people that might be helpful for us? Are we, putting up walls? What are we doing? Because we have, as much as anyone else, we have a role in our happiness. There's the stories from the concentration camps of Viktor Frankl and other, there's a priest, I can't remember his name, who's in the concentration camp. Horrible, horrible experiences. And many of those people came out of it with a sense of deep gratitude and peace and connection to the meaning and purpose of their lives. So there is, there's a possibility in every adversity. It's difficult to see the silver lining. It's not a matter of somebody telling you to see the silver lining. It's a matter of going deep into ourselves and connecting with that source and connecting with the capacity, the possibilities for hope, possibilities for faith, the possibilities that everything changes. Yeah. So thanks for being here today. The homework for today is just to let me know, leave a comment, and to think about, meditate on what is it that really reaffirms faith for you. I'll see you tomorrow. Namaste.